Matt here for episode 1 of Roach's Records. This will be hopefully an ongoing video series where I'll go through albums I've either recently picked up or have just started to listen to again or really gotten into, or maybe just certain parts of my collection that I want to focus on, which is the subject of episode 1. I really wanted to get this out earlier, but I procrastinated a lot and didn't get around to it. So in February, our Lake Ontario Vinyl Collectors community on Facebook had a challenge for soundtracks, and I love soundtracks, and I really enjoyed the challenge. So right now I want to highlight some of my favorite soundtracks that I own. Most of these I was able to post, although some of them were posted by other people first, and a couple of them I got after the challenge was over. So the first one I want to start off with is the Friday the 13th. This is obviously the original movie. This isn't the original soundtrack release. This is a reissue from last year, and it's a really nice hard cover on it, real thick cardboard. It's got a nice write-up by Sean Cunningham, the director, inside. Really wish I had this at Fan Expo last year. I could have got it signed. I got a few things signed by him. He was quite a nice guy. The soundtrack, the vinyl for the soundtrack, this one is the Crystal Lake green, which you probably won't be able to see. It probably just looks black. I don't know if I can get the light to hit it right. But if you hold it up to the light, it actually has like a green color to it and kind of a swirl, seaweedy look to it. This album is pretty fantastic. It's a really nice package. Comes with a cool poster as well, which is kind of creepy. Doesn't go over well with my fiance, but I like it. So this one was put together by Waxwork Records, and they usually focus on soundtracks, much like Death Waltz does. But a very good package. I recommend, if you can find it, pick it up. Everyone that I know that has it really loves it. Next up is one I got at Record Store Day, or maybe Black Friday last year. It's the Game of Thrones soundtrack. Again, another gatefold. Some cool pictures inside. Nice widescreen look. Nice glossy cover to it. This one is by Veris Saraband Records, and I know they've been doing soundtracks for a long time, and I probably mispronounced the name. Each one of the sleeves for the record is a nice picture sleeve. Has different cast members on it. Yeah, or the vinyl's just black. Nothing fancy there, but if you know the show, you know the music's pretty phenomenal, so this is a good soundtrack for sure. So I was happy to pick that up. I believe they're releasing another one. I think they're doing them based on the season. I think there's another one coming out either for Record Store Day or something like that coming out this year. This soundtrack, the Dazed and Confused soundtrack, I got this a couple of years ago, also Record Store Day. I don't know if you can see it. It is a numbered copy, 5,000 of this one, yeah. Gatefold as well. Has the songs, the liner notes inside. And the vinyl for this one is pretty cool, if I can get it out. It's on an herbal green, but plays very well. A nice 70s rock and roll soundtrack. Depending on the day, it's probably my favorite movie, but that kind of mixes around, but definitely top 3. And the director, Richard Linklater, just, I believe, his film won a couple Academy Awards there for Boyhood there. So he's doing well. And those who looked at that, probably cringing, but I'll fix it later. Next up, Clerks. The original Kevin Smith black and white comedy. Another gatefold, has all the liner notes inside. Nice package. This one, I'm not sure who put this out. Maybe SRC Vinyl, maybe. And it is, I'll show you both because both, it's a double album, both records are a different color. Album 1 is a nice white. And I'll get to album 2 here in a second. Soundtrack for this, if you remember, kind of a alternative, well, this was 94, so early 90s alternative. You've got things like Bad Religion, Jesus Lizard, Stabbing Westward, Soul Asylum, Supernova, Girls Against Boys, lots of alternative music from the time. This one is pretty cool. So black on side 3, but side 4, there's a bit of dust on it. I don't know if you'll be able to see it or not, but it's etched and it says, "I assure you we're open," which is pretty cool. So that is the first and not the last Kevin Smith soundtrack I have. But I got this one for Christmas from my fiance. It's a re-release from 2014. This one I got either end of last year or beginning of this year. It's Assault on Precinct 13, John Carpenter. Probably the first soundtrack he did that was, well, it may be the first soundtrack he did. I'd really have to look it up, but it definitely has the prototype sound of John Carpenter, the you know, the metronome, the synthesizer, that sort of thing. So this is a gatefold, nice package by Death Waltz. Open up, it's got photos from the film. It's kind of a nice, it's got glossy spots as well as flat. And then on the back it's black and white except for the red for the blood of the ice cream. This one has some pretty cool stuff in it, if I can get it out without wrecking it. Has this pretty cool pamphlet, has notes, has a write-up by Clint Mansell, it has the editor from Fangoria, has a write-up from John Carpenter, so that's in it. And then there's also this cool poster, which is just a poster of the cover, which when I move into my new house, I may get framed up and put up, because it's pretty awesome. And I think the vinyl for this, yes, that's right. So the vinyl for this goes along with the ice cream and the blood splatter. So it's cool splatter vinyl, both sides. So that's a nice Death Waltz package. Their stuff's always high end. The case is a nice thick cardboard, nice good sleeve on it, not the cheapy sleeves. So I've been really impressed with all the Death Waltz stuff, for sure. Speaking of Death Waltz, here's another one, Halloween 2. Just a little thing with it. Not a gatefold, but a cool cover on that. Back just has sort of the credits for the film, has a bit of a write-up from the composer. Some of the music was John Carpenter, but a lot of it was Alan Howarth. I'm not sure if I'm going to say his name right, but he did a lot of the music with John Carpenter in his films, specifically the sequels for Halloween and stuff. This one, again by Death Waltz, not as a hardcover like the Assault on Precinct 13, but still pretty good. Nice sleeve on this, but the vinyl is real cool. It's kind of a translucent white, which is really awesome. And on the back of this record, which I always think is funny, oh, there is a poster with this, which is just the cover of that, but larger. I'm not going to take it out because it's a pain to get it back in. On the back of this one, and you'll never see it in this video, I'm sure, but they've got stills from the film, and in this one, the cameraman, if you remember at the end of the film when they're taking Laurie out of the hospital, there's the news crew there. The cameraman is actually David Spade, one of his first, if not his first movie role, which I always thought was kind of cool. And look at him now, Joe Dirt. Next up, Guardians of the Galaxy. Amazing movie, awesome soundtrack. Another gatefold. Some cool art inside there. Back has the credits for it. And I've now jammed something in there so it won't close properly. There we go. So this is just the standard, or the deluxe version. Deluxe because it has both the Awesome Mix Volume 1, which if you saw the movie, is the songs that are playing, like the licensed music. So you've got Hooked on a Feeling, Spirit in the Sky, Moon Age Daydream, I Want You Back, Ain't No Mountain High Enough, all that stuff's from the movie. But the second album on here is the original score by Tyler Bates, and I really wanted that as much as the cover for the other versions, both the Mondo release and I think it was a record store release, the single for the mixtape. I like the covers on those better. Like this cover's okay, it's nice, but those ones are really cool, especially the Mondo one. A lot more expensive and only the one album. I wanted both, so I'm happy with it. I've heard people say that the mix isn't great on the songs. I haven't really noticed it that much. I think there was talk about the volume being higher and lower depending on the song, but I haven't really noticed it. So the last one in this group is Mallrats. Now a lot of people have told me this is hard to find or they haven't seen it a lot, so I'm glad I found it. I got this at Cops Records on Queen Street in Coburg. Or Toronto, Coburg, jeez. So on the back you have some cool comic book art. On the front it's the, what do they call those, the mind's eye pictures. It's a sailboat, or schooner, whatever. Album's just the regular black, but I always thought this was cool. This was definitely the first Kevin Smith movie that I got into, probably got me into the rest of them. And I thought this was a fitting one to finish with because, as some of you may know, last week he announced that they're making a sequel. And I heard on Friday, when he was in Toronto for Hollywood Babylon, that he announced that they will actually be filming it before the end of the year. So that's pretty cool. Hopefully, fingers crossed, it's not a dud. I thought Clerks 2 was fantastic, so he knows how to make a sequel to his own stuff, so that's good. But this one's great. It's got, you know, again, more alternative, much like the Clerks stuff. So you've got Bush, Sponge, Elastica, Girls Against Boys again. The only single I think that came off this album was the Build Me Up Buttercup cover by the Goops. I remember the video had a lot of clips from the movie in it. Has lines from the movie kind of dispersed between the songs. Some Silverchair, Sublime. But yeah, so that one is Mallrats. And I will return for part 2 of this in a little later. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them at the bottom. And until part 2, this is Matt signing off.